ادع إلى سبيل ربك بالحكمة والموعظة الحسنة وجادلهم بالتي هي أحسن.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله حمدا كثيرا طيبا مباركا فيه كما يحب ربنا ويرضاه. مرحبا بكم أيها المستمعون. I welcome you all to our first class in this Arabic program. And the goal of this program, inshallah, is to enable people to study the Arabic language from the comforts of their own homes or wherever else they may be. We find that there are many people who want to learn the Arabic language, but for one reason or another, it's not easy for them to do so. Perhaps there's no teacher, or perhaps the teachers who are available are charging extortionate amounts of money, or perhaps it's difficult for them for one reason or another. So we've put together this class, inshallah, to make it easy for people to study in the comforts of their own home, inshallah, and progress and gain understanding of the Arabic language. So we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to accept this humble effort and make it a beneficial service for Islam and the Muslims. This program, our Arabic program, is going to be based on the Arabic course of Medina Islamic University for English speaking students. The course consists of 3 books. It consists of 3 books which was originally designed and taught at Medina Islamic University. The book that we're going to begin with here, this book here, is Medina Book 1. Medina Book 1. And this book here consists of 23 lessons. There are 23 lessons in this book. And this is what we're going to start with. Medina Book 1, inshallah, and then we're going to move on to Book 2. And once we complete Book 2, inshallah, if we're still together on this journey, we are going to start Ajrumiya, inshallah. Tayyib. So before we begin today's class, we are going to take a quick introduction looking at the parts of speech in the Arabic language. The parts of speech in the Arabic language. So the Arabic language, just like any other language, is made up of words. A word in the Arabic language, we refer to it as kalima. Kalimatun. Kalimatun. A kalima is a word. A word in the Arabic language, whether it is read or spoken or written, any type of word in the Arabic language will either be one of these 3 things. An Arabic word will either fall into one of these 3 categories. It's either going to be an ism, ismun, which is a noun. An ism is a noun. Nouns are names of things, names of people, places, names of ideas, concepts. Names of things are known as ismun, a noun, ismun. So this is the first category. Second category is fi'lun, a verb, an action or so, or of some sort. Fi'lun, a verb. If the word is not ism and it's not a fi'l, then it's going to be a harf. Harfun, particle. So we have ismun, which is a noun, names of people, names of places, names of things, names of concepts, ideas. Fi'lun, verbs. Harfun, anything which is not an ism or fi'l, then it's going to be called a harf, a particle. So parts of the Arabic language, we have 3 parts. Parts of the Arabic language, there are 3 parts. It's either going to be a ism, a fi'lun, or harfun. So when we go through this book, inshallah, you're going to find out that we do not come out of these 3 categories. Every word that we take is going to fall into one of these 3 categories. In book 1, the author, he is going to concentrate on this category, ismun. He is going to concentrate on ismun. And nouns in the Arabic language, they make up the majority of the language. Probably around 60% of the language or 70 is built up of nouns, asma. So it's only fitting that the author, he concentrates more on this than anything else. And this is what we're going to concentrate on in book 1, nouns. And when we look at nouns, we're going to look at nouns from various perspectives. Nouns in the Arabic language, they all have a gender. Nouns have a gender, and the gender is either going to be masculine or feminine. So ismun in terms of gender, ism in terms of gender, we have two types. It's either going to be masculine, we say masculine in Arabic, mudhakkarun. It's either going to be mudhakkar, which is masculine, or it's either going to be feminine. Feminine is mu'annathun. Mu'annathun, feminine. طيب. So every noun in the Arabic language has a gender, and this gender is either going to be masculine or feminine. In Arabic we say mudhakkarun or mu'annathun. Every noun has a gender. Whether it's a living being or a thing or an object or a concept, it's going to have a gender. So for example, kursiyun, for example. Kursiyun means chair. This noun has a gender, and the gender is masculine. Another example, sayyaratun. Sayyaratun is a car. Sayyaratun means a car. The gender of a car in the Arabic language is feminine. Sabrun means patience. Patience is an idea, it's a concept. This concept has a gender, and it's mudhakkar. So when we refer to sabr, we refer to it as a masculine. The point is, every noun, every ism in the Arabic language has a gender. It's either going to be mudhakkar, masculine, or mu'annath, feminine. This is point number 1. The second point related to nouns that we need to bear in mind is every noun consists of a number. Every noun has a number, and this number is either going to be mufradun, the noun indicates to something which is singular. Mufradun, jam'un, the opposite of singular. The opposite of singular is plural. So this is what we have in the English language. We have things which are singular, pen, things which are plural, pens, pen, pens. However, in the Arabic language, we have something which is between mufrad and jam'. Something which comes between mufrad and jam', and that is muthanna. Muthanna. What is muthanna? Muthanna is jewel. Two things. The number 2 indicates two objects or two people or two things. So we have mufrad, we have muthanna, and we have jam'un. what we're saying here, we're saying every noun in terms of number. So the first categorization was in terms of gender. Every noun has a gender. The gender is either masculine, mudhakkar, or feminine, muthanna, or mu'annath, sorry. We can confuse this, don't confuse this like me, between this and this. There's a very similar, so don't confuse between the two. Muthanna, mu'annath, mu'annath, feminine. In terms of number, every noun consists of a number, carries a number within it. It's either going to be singular, muthanna, or jam', or jam'un. Mufradun, singular. Muthanna, we stretch this is an alif. Muthanna, jewel, or jam'un, plural. Singular is referring to one thing. So if I was to say kursiyun, the example that I used previously, kursiyun is mudhakkar. It's a masculine noun, mudhakkarun. The gender within kursi is masculine. The number within kursi, I'm referring to one chair, so it's singular, mufrad. So kursiyun is mufrad and it's mudhakkar. Tamam. If I say sayyaratun, car is feminine and it's singular. I'm talking about one car. In the Arabic language, if we're referring to two things, there's a construction that we form and it becomes two. So kursiyun, if I say kursiyani, it means two chairs. If I say sayyaratani, two cars. Anything which is more than two goes to the category of jam', plural. Karasiyu is the plural of kursiyun. Yani more than two chairs, plural, chairs. And sayyaratun, cars, is plural. So the point here is that every noun consists of a number. And this number is either going to be mufrad, singular, jewel, or plural. So far we've taken two categorizations of nouns. The first categorization of the noun is in terms of gender. Every noun has a gender. It's either going to be mudhakkar or mu'annath. Every noun consists of a number. It's either going to indicate one thing, two things, or more than two things, plural. Tamam. So this is something that we need to bear in mind. And when we explain these things, I hope that everyone concentrates on what's being explained as opposed to busying themselves with taking notes. Firstly, concentrate and understand what's being explained before you write away. Otherwise, if you're writing while I'm explaining, you're not going to understand anything. Or it's going to be difficult for you to understand. So when things are being explained, try and focus. And then inshallah, you can pause the video and take notes. You can take notes after you've understood. So far we've taken words in the Arabic language are divided into three. The parts of speech in the Arabic language are three. Any word that you see will fall into one of these three categories. It's either going to be a noun, ismun. Ismun is the name of a place, name of a thing, name of a person, name of anything. Pronouns, adjectives, they all come under this category. Then we have fi'lun. Fi'lun is a verb, doing words. Then anything which is not ism or fi'l is going to be a harf. And we said everything that we study in the Arabic language, including this book, is going to fall into one of these three categories. Then we said in book 1, the author is going to concentrate on ism, more so than the fi'l and the harf. He's going to concentrate on ism, mainly because the Arabic language consists more of nouns than anything else. 60 or 70% of the Arabic language is built up of asma, nouns. So because of that, we said we're going to focus on ism. And then we categorized ism into two categories. The first category is in terms of gender. We said every ism, every noun has a gender, carries within it a gender. It's either going to be mudhakkar or mu'annath. Mudhakkar or mu'annath. Mudhakkar is masculine, mu'annath is feminine. And inshallah, Just understand this categorization. The examples is not really important right now. You understand this more as we go through the book, inshallah. The second categorization of the ism is in terms of number. Every ism consists of a number, carries within it a number. It's either going to point to one thing, which is mufrad. The noun is either going to point to two things, which is muthanna, or more than two things, which is jam'un, jam', plural. Mufrad, singular. Muthanna, dual. Jam', plural. طيب. Once this is understood, inshallah, we're going to begin lesson 1. الدرس الأول. الدرس الأول. الدرس الأول means the first class. The first class or the first lesson. الدرس, the lesson. الأول, the first. The first lesson. In the first lesson, we're going to learn about this word. This word says هذا. 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 Ha. We say ha, not ha. We say ha. Ha. The. And this the, we need to stretch it. And the thing to stretch the fatha is alif. So the. هذا. هذا. The first thing when learning a new word is to firstly be able to pronounce the word correctly. First thing that you must do whenever you encounter a new word is to be able to pronounce the word correctly. Once you're able to pronounce the word correctly, the next thing is you should be able to write the word correctly. So هذا is written like this. The ha joined to the dhal. Dhal is from the letters which do not join with the letter after, so we leave a gap and there are alif. The ha has a fatha, the dhal has a fatha. هذا. So we need to learn how to pronounce it correctly. Second thing, know how to write it correctly. Third thing is the meaning. What does هذا mean? هذا means this. You're pointing at something, you're saying this. 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 هذا means this. Grammatically, هذا is a demonstrative pronoun. It's a demonstrative pronoun. It's a noun or pronoun that's used to point things out. If you want to point something out, this is kada wa kada, this, that, or so, this is what you use, a demonstrative pronoun. هذا is a demonstrative pronoun which means this. This demonstrative pronoun falls into the category, as we mentioned previously, everything that we study is going to fall into one of these three categories. So the word هذا is an ism. It's a type of noun. طيب. هذا is a type of noun. Ism. It's a ism. Okay. Ism. What type of ism? It's a ismul. It's a ismul isharati. Ismul isharati. Ismul isharati. If you're stopping here, you read this as a ha. Ismul ishara. Ismul ishara. What's a ismul ishara? It's a noun used to do ishara. What's ishara? Pointing things out. Noun that's used to point things out. Yani demonstrative pronoun. Ismul ishara. هذا is a ismul ishara. هذا is a ismul ishara. It's a type of noun. So the first word that we study is a noun. هذا. And this noun is used to point things out. It's a noun used to point things out. هذا means this. تمام. There are different types of demonstrative pronouns in the Arabic language. Depending on the thing or the object that you want to point out, you use a suitable ismul ishara. There are different ones depending on the object. Tamam. So هذا, this particular ismul ishara, we use it if the object, so this is our object. This object that we're pointing out, we want to point this object out. This object that we're pointing out has to be singular. It has to be one object. We only use هذا to point something out if it's one. So that's the first condition for using هذا. The second condition for using هذا is this object has to be masculine. Tamam. If the object is singular and the object is masculine, we can say هذا and then mention whatever this object is. طيب. So we can say هذا كذا وكذا. So this كذا وكذا, this thing here, is singular and it's masculine. If the thing here is two or more than two, we can't use هذا. We have to use a different demonstrative pronoun, which we are going to learn inshallah. If the thing is not masculine, it's feminine, we can't use هذا. We have to use a different demonstrative pronoun, which we're going to learn inshallah. If you want to use هذا, the object that you're pointing out has to be singular and it has to be masculine. The third and final condition is that the object that you're pointing out has to be close, within close proximity. If the thing is far away, you don't use هذا, because هذا means this. This is كذا وكذا. This thing is كذا وكذا. This is a ball. This is a car. Something which is close. If you're going to point out something which is far away, you say that, just like in the English language. So we can't use هذا, because هذا means this. We have to use something which means that to point something out which is far away. And that has a different demonstrative pronoun. So to use هذا, the object has to be singular, it has to be masculine, and it has to be close. So hopefully we understand why we explained this now. Every noun has a gender. مذكر or مؤنث. مذكر or مؤنث. Masculine or feminine. So if you want to point something out which is feminine, we cannot use هذا. So we cover this. Yeah, you can't use هذا for مؤنث, for feminine. You can only use it for مذكر. If the noun is مذكر, it's masculine, yes, you can use هذا. Likewise, if the noun that you're pointing out is singular, yes, you can use هذا. But if it's a ju or jam', مثنى or jam', you cannot use هذا. So the noun that you're pointing out has to be مذكر in terms of gender, and it has to be مفرد in terms of number. If it's مذكر and it's مفرد, and then finally it's close, then yes, you can use هذا. So in order to use هذا to point something out, the thing that you're pointing out, this thing that you're pointing out, has to be singular, it has to be masculine, it has to be close. Singular, how do we say singular? Can you remember? Singular is مفرد. تمام. It has to be masculine. Masculine is مذكر. Close. How do we say close in Arabic? We say قريب. 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 It has to be مفرد مذكر قريب. مفرد مفرد مذكر قريب. Singular, masculine, close. What's these conditions for? These three conditions for? The object that you're pointing out. This object that you're pointing out has to be mufrad, mudhakkar, and qareeb. If this is understood, then we've understood today's lesson. Okay, let's go back to today's lesson now. The author in the first page, he mentions هذا. هذا. If we go back to the writing of هذا, there's a spelling rule here. With ha, when we say ha, we are stretching it the same way we stretch the dal. We say ha, dha. 2 counts. This is 2 counts. This is 2 counts. This being 2 counts is something understandable because we have fatha and alif. Alif causes this to turn from 1 count, the becomes dha, 2 counts because of the alif. Whereas this ha is 2 counts, even though there's nothing here. There's no alif here. However, there's a special rule with regards to hadha, and that special rule is that we pronounce an alif even though it's not written. There's an alif here which is read, but it's not written. Tamam. There's an alif here. After the ha, there's an alif which is read but not pronounced. It's read but not pronounced. So if we was to read this, this actually says ha, dha, hadha, hadha. But because of that rule, we say hadha. What's the rule? The rule is there is an alif after the ha which is pronounced but not written. So we don't write it like this. We don't write it like this, but we pronounce it like this. This says hadha. This is actually what we're reading. But in terms of writing, we write it like this. So this alif is not written. This alif is not written. So we join the ha to the dal. Hadha. Something very important to bear in mind. In the Quran, they have a small alif which is written like this, just to make it easier for people so that they're not confused. Yeah, because if they don't have this sign, people might just say hadha, but which is wrong. So they add a little alif to indicate that alif which is not written. So people can stretch this ha. They'll say hadha. And that's what the author does here. He's added that small alif. Okay, so when you spell hadha, when you write it out, make sure you write it without the alif. And there's only 1 alif after the dal. And when you pronounce it, make sure you read it with the alif. You pronounce the ha 2 counts and the dha 2 counts. Hadha. What does hadha mean? It means this. Okay. So there are 6 or 9 words on this first page. And you'll notice that all of these 9 words that we're going to learn, they are nouns. They are nouns. Hadha is a noun also. We mentioned it's a demonstrative pronoun, ismul ishara. The words after it, the things that we're pointing out, are also all nouns. 9 in total. And these 9 nouns are all going to be masculine, masculine, mudhakkarun, mudhakkarun, mudhakkarun. None of them are feminine. All of these have a gender. The gender is they are masculine. And they also have a number. And the number is that they're indicating one thing, one object, one house, one masjid. And they are all we're assuming that all of these things are close, within close proximity to the speaker. So this is a house. Baytun, baytun means a house. Baytun, baytun, a house. Masjidun, masjidun, a masjid, a mosque. Babun, babun, a door. Babun, a door. Kitabun, kitabun, a book. Kitabun. Qalamun, qalamun, a pen. Miftahun, miftahun, a key. Maktabun, maktabun, a desk. Sarirun, sarirun, a bed. Kursiyun, this should have a shadda. Kursiyun, kursiyun, is a chair. Kursiyun. So all of these things that we're pointing out have a gender, and they are mudhakkar, they're all masculine, and they're all singular, and inshallah they're all close to the speaker who's pointing them out. هذا بيت, together this means this is a house. This is a house. There's no equivalent translation or equivalent to is in the Arabic language. Is something that we add when we're translating into English. Is and are, as it mentions in the notes at the back, they're called copula. They are words which are added when you translate these kind of words into English, which attaches the mubtada and the khabar together to give a complete sentence. Is and are. These are houses. This is. We don't have an equivalent in the Arabic language. So when we translate هذا by itself, this. Baytun, a house. This, a house. We don't say this, a house. We need to add that is when we translate into English to make the sentence complete. This is a house. This is a house. Is something that is added into the translation to make it a complete sentence, because we're moving from one language to another. So we need to apply the rules of the other language so that the sentence makes sense. So we can't say this, a house. Although literally, this, a house is the literal translation. But when we translate, we say this is a house. The word is not part of any of this. It's just added to complete the meaning. هذا بيت. This is a house. هذا مسجد. This is a masjid or mosque. هذا باب. This is a door. هذا كتاب. This is a book. هذا قلم. This is a pen. هذا مفتاح. This is a key. هذا مكتب. This is a desk. هذا سرير. This is a bed. هذا كرسي. This is a chair. So what we're going to do now is we're going to read each one 5 times. My assistants are going to repeat after me. I'm going to say each one 5 times, and inshallah when we're saying these, we need to say as though we are speaking that language. We're not going to read it like robots. هذا بيت. In the Arabic language, when you get to the last letter, you stop with a sukoon. You say هذا بيت, هذا مسجد, هذا باب, هذا كتاب, and so on. But for practice sake, we're going to read every tashkil, including the last letter. So we're going to say هذا بيت just for practice sake. Otherwise, it's more correct to say هذا بيت if you're speaking. هذا بيت, هذا قلم, هذا كرسي. تمام. But for practice sake, we're going to read the dhammatain at the end. هذا بيت. تمام. So get ready, please. هذا بيت.
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 هذا بيت. Say it.
هذا بيت.
Not ta. Say the. Say the.
هذا بيت.
Good job. Okay, what does هذا بيت mean?
This is a house.
This is a house. Remember, yeah? Don't forget. What does هذا بيت mean?
This is a house.
Okay, next one. هذا مسجد.
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 هذا مسجد. Say it.
هذا.
You say هذا, not هذا. It's هذا, yeah. Okay. هذا مسجد. مسجد. Okay, say it loud then.
مسجد.
Okay, make sure you don't say mash. Some people they say masjidun. You have to say mas. The scene. هذا مسجد. مسجد. Okay?
مسجد.
Not mash. Mas.
Mas.
Okay, what does هذا مسجد mean?
This is the masjid.
What do you do in a masjid?
Pray.
Next one. هذا باب.
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 هذا
باب.
باب.
هذا باب.
هذا باب.
Where is bab?
Door.
Door. Next one. هذا كتاب.
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 What does that mean? This is a book.
You have a book and you want.
Yeah, I have a book. So this is a kitab. And this is a kitab as well. But usually, books that you read, we say kitabun. And books that you write notes on, we say daftarun.
This is pen.
Daftarun. Let me write that down, yeah? Da. Daftarun. Daftarun, notebook. So this is a daftar, this is a notebook, and this is a kitab. Okay. هذا كتاب. What is هذا كتاب?
This is a book.
Next one. هذا قلم.
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 What's قلم?
This is a pen.
Pen.
This
قلم is a pen. So هذا قلم means
pen.
this is a
Pen.
pen. Very good. Remember these words, yeah?
Yes.
I'm going to test you at the end, inshallah. هذا مفتاح.
هذا مفتاح. مفتاح.
هذا 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 مفتاح.
What does هذا مفتاح mean?
This is key.
Key. مفتاح is a
Key.
key. Next one. هذا مكتب.
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 What's a مكتب? Desk.
Desk.
Desk or office, place where you do your work, yeah? هذا مكتب. هذا مكتب. This is a desk.
Abby, I have that on there.
Okay, this is a desk. What's مكتب? Desk. Okay, this is a desk. Remember, yeah? Next one. طيب. هذا سرير.
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 What's سرير?
This is a bed.
Bed. Very good. This is a bed. What's a sarir?
Two beds. This is a bed.
Bed.
Two beds.
Okay, last one now, yeah? We're on the last one. And remember all the ones that we took, yeah?
Yes.
هذا كرسي.
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 What does هذا كرسي mean? This is a
chair.
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 Chair. Okay, this question is for you, yeah? How do you say... Close your books, actually. Close your books, yeah? Let's close the books. Let's close the books. Make sure we're not cheating, yeah? How do you say, this is a pen?
هذا قلم.
Very good. Your turn. Your turn. How do you say, this is a book?
هذا مسجد.
Wrong. How do you say, this is a book?
هذا باب.
Wrong. How do you say, this is a book?
هذا كتاب.
Very good. How do you say, this is a book?
هذا كتاب.
Kitabun. Very good. Okay, how do you say, this is a door?
هذا مفتاح.
Wrong. So that means you need to revise.
Yes,
You need to revise until next lesson. See, you're getting it wrong.
I love you, Abby.
Thank you. So now you need to revise, yeah? Okay, go and revise, please. Everybody revise. This is the end of our lesson. Everyone needs to revise. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك.